Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode. We appreciate you guys joining us. Today we have a special episode lined up for you guys. We have the one and only himself, Tibbs, Lupin,
Let's go.
Emmanuel Sakala.
Hey,
This
it is
one,
I. It is
this
I.
guy.
It is I.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that we're going to talk about. You guys can get one or two things from whatever we're going to discuss, and I hope you learn one or two things from whatever we're going to talk about. And today, my co-host is the one and only Elton Mutadei Bombeshora. I think you guys have seen him one or two episodes. So yeah, he's my co-host today. So everything we're going to discuss is going to help me facilitate everything that's going on. I'm going to try to learn about the life of Emmanuel and what is going on with him, what he's up to, and yeah, his beliefs and stuff. So stick with us, and yeah, we hope you learn one or two things. So yeah, without further ado, we're gonna give it to our guest. Let him introduce himself. I don't know what's the best way he can introduce himself because the guy has done a lot of stuff and there's a lot of ways that he can introduce himself. So I'm curious, actually, to see which route he's going to take to introduce himself. So Emmanuel, introduce yourself
Okay.
to our viewers out there.
Okay. So I've prepared an interpretive dance. So I'm going to dance to introduce my. I'm just kidding.
Then they got it done, boy.
Yeah. No. But like Jackson said, my name is Emmanuel Sakala. I'm in my senior year at Whitman College in Walla Walla. It's a small town in like northeast. I don't know the directions, but somewhere in Washington state, not Washington D.C. A lot of people keep asking me, they're like, "Oh, go say hi to Joe Biden." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't live in the same place." I'm like, on the other side, man. I mean, but yeah, I'm a senior. I'm studying music technology and production. That's my major, with a minor in computer science. I do a lot of stuff on campus. I'm like a sound guy. I have 3 jobs on campus, and all of them have to do with sound and stuff. I DJ, I produce, I sing. I do audio engineering, audio steering, and stuff like that. I do a lot of stuff. I'm also a theater sound designer, which is what I'm mostly doing right now. But yeah, I also dance. I act. I've done films with my friends on campuses for fun. I've done some theater stuff. I also play sports. I love running. I'm from Zambia, just like Jackson. So I'm very far away from home, but it's been a great time being here, and so far so good, I think. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, just to kick things off, bro. There's
Yeah.
a lot of places I can like touch on. Um, but I think people would like to know like why you chose the major you chose and how you ended up in the college you're at the moment.
Oh, so first of all, I spent the first 10 years of my life in the village for my Zambian people, Kumunzi. So I'm from a small village called Mtambaliga village in Mwase, Lundazi district in the east part of Zambia. I can literally bike to Malawi. When I'm in the village, I can just get on a bike and go to Malawi. I don't even need a passport. And also I speak Tumbuka, so I can just go in there. I just be like, Muri, Subweni, Uri. And people wouldn't even bat an eye. And I also speak a bit of Chewa, so that kind of helps. Unfortunately, life in the village is not, very like conducive, especially for like academics. Gone back a few times, and most of my friends I went to school with, they either have kids, they're married, or all they do is like drinking, or you see your father, your uncles doing it, and you also end up doing it. So I was lucky enough. I don't think I'm better than those guys, but I was lucky enough that I had someone, my aunt, my mom, I call her mom. My mom, like, Osaka, she was like, "Oh, can you Emmanuel is kind of smart. He should definitely come to Lusaka, try education here. He might have a chance at least to even go to University of Zambia and everything." So I went there when I was in 4th grade, started school in 5th grade in Lusaka. The school was only 2 minutes away from my village, but we only had like one TV, which was at the headmaster's house. So before you go there, you had to like, take a shower and make sure you put on you put on you put on your best clothes. So I used to wear my December clothes. My Zambians know December Christmas clothes just to go watch TV. So going to the city was a very different experience. It was very nice. Being able to watch like TV, every day. Like I used to watch TV a lot, man. That's why I learned most of my English actually, like, watching TV. I remember like, my childhood best friend, Joseph, was still friends to this day. We used to watch like a lot of TV together, like cartoons. That's why I kind of like, learned English. Then when I was in the 7th grade, I was very lucky. I went to this school in Chunga Material called Nelson Mandela. And these people came, they're like, oh, we're this organization. It's called Kuchetekela Foundation. We want kids who are like smart, but the parents cannot really pay for their education. And the teachers had to like nominate a few kids from the classes. I was lucky enough to be one of the 10 kids from like the initial pool. And we went through like a rigorous and extensive like, interview process. Jackson knows that because, that's how I met Jackson. Like we were part of the same program. He was a year higher than me. I only spent 3 years in Lusaka, and then I got that opportunity to go to Pesalo's Education Center, which is one of the best experiences I've ever had. I don't think I deserved it more than anyone else, but I was lucky enough to get that scholarship. They literally, Jackson can attest to this, they literally gave us school uniform. We used to get pocket money. One of my favorite things to do was they helped us do community service, which of course, if you're applying to universities, is super helpful. But I did work experience at Barefoot Theater in Lusaka, which I should have known. I've always loved theater. We did like Oliver Twist. I've worked with a lot of people. I've gone on like radio. We met Mark 44. Remember that time, Jackson? When, of course, we weren't polished enough. We tried to rap for him. I remember exactly what he told us. It's like, do you practice your voice? Do you yawn? I was like, I don't know how yawning is to help me.
Actually, bro, it was MKV.
Oh, it was MKV. Yes, no, we didn't make Mark 44. It was MKV. He was like, do you guys yawn? I was like, yawning. but like and just like me, Jackson, and our other friends, we used to call ourselves the Potters because we grew up reading Harry Potter. Like I remember we used to like chase around each other with like sticks. We'd be like, stupefy and stuff like that. I don't know why we should do that, but like we were very very big like Harry Potter fans. Like to this day, that was our thing, and we did like a lot of things. We used to do drama together. We used to do spoken word. We messed up. I remember sometime, it was like so much fun. I think from there, that's when I just got, vibes of just being an entertainer. Like I said, like music. And a friend of ours, Takondwa, Adrian, he used to make beats for us. And then I kind of just like in beats from him. I just used to watch him. Amazing guy. Then from there, I graduated high school, from Pesalosi. I was lucky enough that I got really good grades. Not bragging. It doesn't really matter now, to be honest. But I got 6 points. I was one of the few people who got 6 points. And then KF, again, Kuchetekela, we call it KF, helped me out even through my past secondary education. They helped me look for opportunities. I was supposed to go to China, so I was supposed to start learning Chinese, but that wasn't really worked out. But then I got a scholarship to go to Armenia, which is like United World Colleges, which is technically like 2 more years of high school. It's like A levels, but kind of different. We call it A levels and steroids because that thing I would never do it again. But it was a very nice experience. I was the only Zambian there. So, but like, the country was like super amazing. Like people, most people have never really seen a black person. So every time I go out, people be like, photo? I'm like, yeah. They're like, I'm famous, but, so I was there for like 2 years. I love Armenia. Like, Viva Haya stand for an Armenian if you're watching. But I love Armenia. It's a super small country, super amazing. The food, the people, especially the grandmothers. If you go to Armenia, when you're eating food in Armenia, if you finish your food and there's an Armenian grandmother there, if you finish your food, it's not that you're full. It's like you want more. So, I started gaining weight, bro. I was like, if I'm here, I'm going to be living good, bro. Armenian grandmothers are the best. We call them tatik. Like, if you go there, like tatiks are amazing, bro. And I had a host family. They're super amazing. Have like a host brother there, super amazing. And then like after my 2 years, so that was from 2019 to 2021, I applied to like some few colleges, and Whitman was one of them where I'm at right now. And of course I could have gone anywhere else, but I really liked Whitman. But the biggest thing was they gave me the most money, if I'm just being honest. I'm poor. I needed the money. They gave me like 100%. Who am I to to deny all that money? I came here 2021, and I've been here. I was thinking of doing econ or something else because growing up, I think Jackson can back me up on this. A lot of us, we watched Gifted Hands, the Ben Carson story. Some of us wanted to be doctors. Everyone wanted to be a doctor. If you ask the Zambian my age at that time, if you ask them, they're like, I want to be a doctor just like Ben Carson. And I think it's normal for our countries to like those jobs for prestige. Doctors, accountants, me coming from a very academic background, being one of the best students at my school, everyone expects me to be like a lawyer or whatever. But after some time realizing, doing different things, I was like me personally, I don't know if this will work out, but life is all about taking chances. And I don't think I personally want to be an academic. And thankfully, the year that I came here, my music and technology professor right now, he had been pushing for a music and technology production major for a long time. And the year that I came was the first year that they introduced. I literally came in the first year that I'm here, they're introducing. And I just started taking some music classes, but I also like CS, especially with music technology. Right now, I'm learning this programming language. It's called Sonic Pi. So you write code, but it plays music. So you code music, which is cool. I'm hoping to use that in like my thesis. So that is basically how I came here. There's a lot more, but just trying to condense it. We learned, summary, English paper 2. Still remember that, ECZ. But that's how it is.
Awesome, bro. Yeah. There's a lot of points that I would like to like go back on, but I
Yeah.
don't know where to start from, bro. Like, let's start from the point where we met, bro. How was that encounter? The first time you and I met, bro.
I think for me, I kind of realized later in life that I like spending time alone. I've had people thinking, oh, you're an introvert, but no, I'm just a very extroverted person. I'm a very social person. And for me, I can literally go into almost any space and I wouldn't feel out of place. And I think the people that I've been in contact with or come across, they're usually very accepting. I remember the first day I came with my best friend, Afidi, as we know him. Most people who know his government name, Asid Shpangan only, great guy. But I remember we came together and the first time it was Sunday, January 2014. I think it was January 13th, I don't remember. They put us in our dorms, and I remember we're just like walking around trying to know the surroundings. We met this guy, Dixon. He was like our first person we talked to, cool guy. And then you guys like came later because you guys didn't have to come like at a certain time. You Christian and Nathan were like in the dorm right next to us, and like Martin, I think he was like in dorm 4 or something. And I remember you guys coming, you introduce yourselves. You're like, oh yeah, we're like seniors. I don't know if you guys were trying to intimidate us, but it didn't work because you guys were like just funny. Like you just came out as funny. I remember we had like what we called surroundings. Remember surroundings? So we went around, swept, picked up litter, and then after that, we had a talk. Then we had dinner. After dinner, we came back to your room. It just didn't feel like it was the first time for meeting. It was like you, me, Andrew, Nathan. I don't think Martin was there because you guys were like picking up Martin so much. You're like, Martin did kung fu, And then I remember you guys demonstrating it. No, I remember because Martin came later in the week and you guys were hyping Martin up. They're like, no, don't mess with Martin. Martin is but these guys were lying, because most of us grew up watching martial arts movies. So I don't know what Martin told them. He mastered all the moves from the Forbidden Kingdom, the Jackie Chan Jet Li movie. He mastered all the moves and he used to scare these guys. I remember that. I was like, low-key scared. I was like, no, I want to see this Martin guy. Because, these guys are like, he's a Kung Fu master. This brother came. And one thing I love about Martin, now he's like very loose, but Martin was very cool guy, very funny. But he was very tense the way he came. He's like, And in my mind, I'm like, this guy can beat you up for real. Because he was a very good football player. And, people who play a lot, they have a certain step. So the way he's coming, he was like, I was like, But yeah, our first day didn't even feel like it was the first time meeting. I didn't feel out of place. At least, how you guys made me feel. It just felt like we spent a holiday apart, came back together, just friends, and then just catching up and things like that. And I think from there, that's when we kind of became friends. We found out we liked a lot of things like movies, aware of the fact that this is a new place. I've never been here. These are new people. But then it didn't feel like it was just us meeting for the first time. And, for that, I'll always be grateful. I think we didn't really get close, especially the 4 of you guys, you, Christian, Martin, and me and Acid in our first year. But I think we became very close. when we're in the 9th grade and you guys were in grade 10, especially like after that, that's when we kind of like,
the following year,
yeah. Especially we saw like, the thing we used to do like for praying and stuff like that.
I think you do like elaborate on that later on
Okay,
in the episode.
yeah. No, but like those are the times, bro. Those are the times. Those were the times. I don't think like I ever felt out of place at Pesalogy, just like with you guys, but also the like great like other great people. Like my Pesalogy experience is probably like one of the best experiences. I think it's also like going with like the philosophy of the school. Like private school weren't allowed. Thankfully, like bullying wasn't like tolerated at all. Even though there were like a few incidences. I was just laughing with Sylvan. Remember that time, Valentine's Day, 2014, and he was arguing with Fred, and then slapped him.
I remember, I remember when.
and then he went to advise, like, advise, we're keeping animals here. I'm going to Auntie Michelle. But it was a very fun time to be at Pesalosi. Yeah.
I just wanted to ask with regards to your music background, because I remember you saying that you chose the music major. And I just want to understand like the inspiration as well as to join together your experiences in Lusaka with these guys. Because I know that Jackson and Martin and the other guys, they produce music. So I wanted to know, were you part of the guys that were producing music? And you can just explain the story, as part of your experience when you with these guys. So just explain a bit, because I've read some of the tracks. So I wanted to know, like, what was your role? Were you producing? Were you singing? And also, what are some of the stuff that gave you that experience? Like those experiences, are they helping you in your major right now or whatever jobs that you're doing?
Definitely. Like, like I said, we used to do like a lot of things on campus. We were like, the funny guys on campus. We're literally like the entertainers. We used to do like, singing, acting. I think I'm like self-aware enough to know that I'm, like to a certain extent funny. I can make people laugh to a certain extent, right?
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Yeah. So like, I actually have done like a stand-up set once here. It was nice. But
nice.
Yeah. So like we said, we're like the porters, right? And we used to do spoken word. We used to do a lot of spoken word during school assemblies, and then unfortunately there were some events that started happening on campus. A lot of parents were like, like dying and everything. And I don't know who got the revelation, but one of us got the revelation that there was some spirit on campus.
It's like got a revelation that what?
That there were some evil spirits on campus killing parents, right? Personally, the Bible is one of my favorite books. I've read the Bible. Unfortunately, if my mom sees this is how she finds out. But I'm not practitioner of Christianity anymore. I'm not against the religion. Most of my values and morals come from the religion. It's just not for me. I'm not willing to debate with anyone. I'm not here to tell anyone to like stop believing. As long as people understand that I don't believe and they respect that, that's all I ask. But like, I don't regret. That was like one of my favorite things. Like even to this day, like I can read the Bible because I feel there's so many great stories and, things you can learn from the Bible. My friends were like, yeah, we have this revelation. And I was a practicing Christian. So we started like leading our own scripture union services and stuff like that. So we used to pray a lot. And that was some of like the best times that I ever had. And, we're like, oh, we do poetry. How about we channel that? We can also do music, because poetry is the poetry part of rap, which is rhythm and poetry. We just need to add like a bit of rhythm now, which is putting our songs on beats. And we're like, yeah, sure. So all of us used to write. And then we started like writing, me, Jackson, Martin, and Christian. We tried to get our friend Christian to sing. Like, let's just be honest, light skin, we thought, light skin guy is going to sing. He's going to be our Justin Bieber. Unfortunately, he couldn't really do it. Unfortunately, we only had like 2 songs that we have as the 4 of us together. One we called like Full Armor, which we based it on the scripture Ephesians chapter 6 verse 11, which says, put on the full armor of God, like the breastplate of righteousness or something. I can't really remember, but that is what we based it on. I think it was you, Jackson, or Martin. It was your week to like preach, lead prayers, and you said it. And I think one of us was like, oh, that's a good song, we can. And we also did an environmental song for our environmental club, saving the environment. And the recording process was very interesting. I remember we went to this studio. We recorded the environment song. We did it with 2 of our friends. Went great. The booth, there was no air ventilation in there. There was like no air conditioning. It was very hot, and the song came out very bad. And I blame it on the air in there, because we were sweating, bro. We were sweating. It was terrible. We just used to like practice a lot. We used to listen to a lot of Christian rappers. So we used to listen to a lot of 616 guys, Trip Lee, Lecrae, and all those guys. We also used to listen to secular guys, for example, I think all of us really love Slap D, especially Jackson. I don't know if you still listen to him, but like, we really love, like, we.
All-time best Zambian rapper, bro.
I've changed my mind. Unfortunately, I think Chef is the best, but that is another debate for another day.
Bro.
That is another.
We need
That is.
to have a debate.
That is another day. But I think our thing was just we love God, love music, we love poetry. Is that way? And we had a friend, Irene, great producer. He made a couple of beats for us. Then after that we had Takondwa. He made a lot of beats for us.
TK helped
Yeah.
us a lot.
Yeah, I think TK, because he was closer to us, because Irene was off campus. We were like on campus with TK, and he made most of our beats. Unfortunately, we didn't use most of them because we had to pay. After graduating, that's when I got into the production part, because mostly before I was just used to write and rap, right? That's all we used to do. And I think of the four of us, I'm the one who actually transitioned into production, because most of the time when TK would, he'll be making beats, I just used to watch him, ask him stuff. I started production like 2019. And then when I went to Armenia, I continued. I had a club where I used to teach other people on how to make beats. And then during the pandemic, I was in Armenia. I decided not to go home because I'm not sure if I'll be able to come back. And the school, great people, they allowed me to stay on campus. And I was there, and that's when I got my first recording kit, including this mic. And that's when I recorded a song. So if I'm talking about something, I try to be at least on topic with what I'm talking about, because there are certain songs you hear a song is talking about like how this guy like is like talking about his girl, and then in the same song is talking about like oh, like I have money, I have everything. I'm like, okay, yes, but like it's supposed to be talking. It's a like love song to your lady. How does that like or he's talking about like suffering, and then next is I'm shooting people. I'm like, man, come on, man, like stay on topic. So I think for me, I think for me that stems from like how we used to write our songs. Because like, oh, we are going to use our songs for like preaching, right? We want our songs to be just one topic, so that when people are listening to like songs about like religion and like they should know, oh, these guys are talking about this specific part. I don't want to be talking about the Old Testament and then I go into the New Testament, or I'm talking about books of law and then I go into the books of history. It doesn't make sense. I don't know if that makes sense. So before that, I did production for 2 whole years before I came here, and music, but most of it was just through listening. You can give me a sample or something, I can make a beat from that, but I wouldn't really tell you like, oh, what I did. So I just used to use my brain, and that helped out a lot because I studied music from there.
Nice. Just a quick follow up. You mentioned doing music as a group in school. So was that you guys have gained the initiative to go outside to record at some private recording label, or it was the school had some support, some structures to support students who want to engage in music or some sort of arts?
At a certain point, I remember there were like these guys, Njanji, Alfonso, and like Mishek, great guys. So we had what we called skills at my school. So I don't know if Jackson has ever told you, but our school, I'd had the motto that teaching the head, heart, and hands. And the head, of course, is academics. The heart, we used to go out on weekends. For example, like one of my skills on the weekends was going to Cheshire homes for disabled kids, and we just go there, like play with them, teach them something, have fun with them, and that was our way of giving back to the community, right? And then hands, like for example, I did like baking, we did like gardening, had gardens behind like our campus, and then I think that was more for 8 and 10, and then in the 11th grade they allowed you to like come up with a project. I don't know if you remember that, Jackson, but like most of us like came up with our own project, and we started like a music studio kind of thing. Of course, it wasn't like big, but that helped us. A lot of people would come together, just like make music or talk about music. So that the school was very much instrumental. They helped us wherever they could, because they gave us like, oh, how much do you guys need? We had budgets and everything. I think just us as students, we didn't really know how to start everything up. So we had a structure to help us, but we just didn't know how to go about in making it effective. Because we're also kids. If I were to go back now, I think I'd have a greater and better idea on how to run such a program on the Pestalozzi campus. But before then, because there wasn't anyone else to help us. We had an advisor, but those advisors were just for a general sort of skill setup. They didn't know to help specific, maybe music or specific people. Some people wanted to do cooking and stuff like that. So we didn't really have that person who could, oh, you guys are doing music, I'm going to help you with your music because I know a thing about music. So
I see. But before I hand it over to Jackson, I was like very interested in hearing more about the story about your change from being a Christian and to say, you said you're no longer a Christian, but I don't know like whether you believe in another religion or you are now like, I don't know, agnostic or atheist. But if you're willing to share, I'll be very interested in knowing more about that and to know, okay, what's the current status as well as what influenced the changes and what level, at what stage did you change? And yeah, if you're free to share that stuff. But of course, if not,
I mean, personally,
we
I
can
just
move on
don't
to
like to
something else.
personally, I don't really like to talk about it because I feel like it's a very contentious topic.
sensitive.
I mean, it's not sensitive for me, but I feel most people are not willing to accept that someone else doesn't share the same beliefs. They think most of us are very much geared to look for things that have in common. But I think I find the beauty in differences, because if another person, for example, I have some friends here who don't watch football at all, and I love watching football. I'll literally wake up if Barcelona or Manchester City is playing at like 4 a.m. Trust me, even if before my friends, the night before, if they say the game is on a Saturday and my friends are like, oh, we're going out, I'm like, hi, bro, I need to go to sleep. Make sure I'm going to take a melatonin so that I go to sleep at 8 p.m. and tomorrow I wake up at 4 p.m. to watch that game. But my friends who don't watch like football at all, and they watch American football, right? And like we're different, but then I've been able to like tell them like, oh, I love watching football. Like, these are the rules and stuff like that. They tell me about like American football. I don't really understand it, but like, at least, so I think like, especially with like religion, like coming from Zambia, it's like very like, Christian nation, right? And I've had like these talks up with people, and like most people think I'm like agnostic or like atheist. They think you're like anti-theist, and I always tell people I'm not anti-theist, I'm not anti-religion. I am not here to like make anyone stop believing, but it's just me personally, it just doesn't work for me, the whole organized religion. If it works for you, totally fine. I think I see why, but the only thing I can say on this topic is I just wish people can understand that religion or faith and is a personal belief, and it is a very much subjective thing. It is not objective truth. And there's about 1,000, I don't know how many gods there are, right? For example, if you believe in a Christian God, it just means you believe in one more than I do. And it's okay for you to believe that your God is true, but that's not the same case for me. And that's a very big topic that I just don't want to get into it. But I just want to let people know that I'm not anti-theist, I'm not anti-religion. If it works for you, great.
Yeah, bro. You and I share a lot of memories, man. Like, I just wish I can go back in some of these memories that we shared back in
I mean, to be
high
honest,
school.
if I could go back, I would go back, except, the food has to be better at Pestalozzi.
I swear to God, bro. Bro, did you go to a boarding school or something?
Yeah, I did.
No, then,
What was your
so like,
menu, bro?
All I can say that the best meal was rice and chicken. Yeah, that will
oh,
tell you the
same,
story.
bro. Same.
That is on Wednesday. That is on Wednesday, man.
That is on Wednesday, bro. That is on
Yeah.
Wednesday. Wait. No. Actually, that reminds me. That reminds me of like a time. So, or like, yeah, today we're fasting. So first of all, mind you, Wednesday, we had like milk and tea, right? And then we also had eggs and bread and butter. Do you know how great that is? Because most of the time we used to eat what we call sampo. I don't know how you say it in English. So it was bread and butter. So breakfast, we skipped it. Bread and butter and tea in a boarding school. Okay. Lunchtime. First of all, break time. There was 6 of us. There was me, Jackson, Martin, Asad, Christian. No, actually, 7 of us. 7 of us. Then there was also a friend of us, Michelle. He was also there. Break time, Christian and Tiger. They're like, guys, I don't think we can do this. Break time, they went out, got food at the taco. So now it was just the 5 of us. Me, Martin, Nathan, Jackson, and Acid. Lunchtime, Nathan, he was like, guys, I can't do this. I'm going to get your shares.
It was getting tough.
It was getting tough. Those guys got our shares. Remember, the 4 of us went to like a football field for like praying there during lunchtime. I was hungry, but like I I had like so much faith, bro. Like I was like, I'm hungry, but I'm doing this, like for a greater purpose, right? We go, and then by the time we're knocking off, we used to knock off at like 3 p.m. or something. We were like so hungry, bro.
You say no. Just so
like,
food disappeared.
No, and the tuck shop was closed that time. But I remember Jackson, me, and the Asset, because Martin was, no, I'm not going to touch or think about food. We went to the tuck shop lady. Auntie, do you have any fritters? Please open for us. Do you have any fritters? I think we got fritters for like 20 kwacha. which was 20 of them. I think it was more. I think there were, so we're just preparing for the future. We're not going to eat this now because we're breaking our fast at like 5 p.m., right? We're like, we're not going to eat this for now, but we're preparing for the future, right? The thing is, we used to come with juice from home. So, no, we're going to make, like I used to come with, Go Fresh. No, guys, don't worry.
Yeah,
I have
go
Go Fresh. We're going to make Go Fresh and eat these fritters. Went back, and then, like I said, we had what we called surroundings. So, one thing I love about Pestalozzi is, we didn't have custodians, which was amazing because we used to take care of our own, places and everything. So like I was able to like learn a lot of like skills in terms of like looking after myself, looking after my like surroundings, and like every day from like 5 p.m. to like 5:30, which is like 17 to 17:30, would like go around like sweeping. And then after surroundings, which was like 5:30, then that's when we're going to break our fast, right? We went, then we're praying, we're in a circle, and then we're praying. And I remember standing next to like Asset on my right, and there were like some other people on my left, right? We're praying with them, bro. Praying. Next thing I know, Afil is on the ground.
Wait, fainting ground on the is fainting, or it's like ground is eating.
He was on the ground. Mind you, his brother's like 6. Like, listen, I think I was 5'1" or something, 5'1". His brother was like 6'3" or something. So I was holding his hand. It was like a child holding his father's hand. Next thing I know, I'm the one who's trying to lift him up.
Big bodies require,
No, but here's the thing.
food.
Here's the thing. Martin looked at us. He was very serious. He was like, guys, sometimes when the Holy Spirit comes, then when the Holy Spirit, you're not strong enough to contain it. So, brother.
Oh, so he got knocked out by the Holy Spirit. I see.
No, and all of us were like, yeah, but in my mind I'm like, this thing is hungry, bro.
Jesus.
This thing is hungry, bro.
Yo.
I was like, guys, he just needs to eat some.
Yeah.
But it's like those memories that I'd like to go back to. It was just like so much fun. Every time I think about those things, like, I can't stop laughing. We went through so much.
Man, that's crazy. Like, I can go back to any memory that we shared back in the day. Every one of those memories is just funny as hell, bro.
Most of them, you look back, you're like, those were the times. Like, and I always tell people like, because I used to preach. Like I said, I'm not against any religion. First of all, I used to do it with my best friends. It was something that I dearly did believe in. It wasn't just in that moment, I had faith and everything. But yeah, misconception that people have is that, I like believing ever since I came to the US, just because I'm to America. I haven't been to, like, I think since I was like 10. It is a very long thingy. But yeah, we had great memories. I think it's just because like every one of us was just like, everyone was just like a comedian in their own right.
I know, right? Yeah. Because if you think about it, even the likes of Nathan was like a comedian that is serious.
Yeah, no. I have one of our friends like Nathan, for example, Jackson is outwardly funny, but like then he was unintentionally funny. He would say, and I think most of it was because you guys used to make fun of him. So he'd say things that is so funny, and he'll just have a serious face. Going back and, to now, I can say most of my humor has been informed by Pestalozzi, definitely, and you guys, Jackson, and everyone definitely played a part in how I've grown up. One of my favorite things, it's not a bad or good thing. We used to give people names. We used to have a lot of code names to talk about people, especially teachers. And we're going to be talking about a teacher and give them a name maybe from like Avatar, The Last Airbender.
Yeah, bro. I was about to ask you, the theater that you are doing there, is it not comedy type of theater or something? Because you seem like a natural for this comedy type stuff.
I think the last time I acted was like 2022. I haven't really done any theater recently. I've mostly been doing sound stuff. I've always like been into production. But then I remember once when I was in Armenia during high school, I think it was 2020, 2021, someone was like, "Oh, Emmanuel, we heard you DJ. Do you want to DJ?" I had never DJed before. I had like a convertible laptop. I remember that time it was touchscreen. Downloaded some songs and I was DJing on my laptop. Then I remember when I came here, I was like, "Oh, I want to do more audio and sound stuff." So then I remember during our orientation week, we had student activities fair. And one of the things that was there was this thing called, they called Sound and Lights. And basically it's like an organization that does sound and lights for campus events. So maybe people have like a karaoke night, you go there and set up the sound and the lights if they need any. And I was like, oh, this sounds like something that I would like to be part of just outside of class. I applied and it's also a job, so you get paid for it, right? So I was there from 2021, September 2021. And the guy who was in charge, so it's like a student-run company. When you do events, you get paid for it. For example, if the sounds department wants to hold an info session and they need sound from us, we go and set up and then we charge them a certain amount. In my first year, I was just like working there. And then in my second year, I took over as the director. Since then, I've been in charge of like, other students. So I'm in charge of like hiring, I give out shifts, and then I relay that to my team. I choose how much I get paid and how much my team gets paid. Right now, everyone gets paid above minimum. My dreams right now is possibly to have like my own sort of like sound and lights provision company, sort of like an event planning thing. And I think this has been like a helpful sort of like period in terms of like helping me to try that out. And I'm very grateful for like the school. And like I said, I'm in charge of that. So right now we're trying, because usually they get people from outside to like run the graduation, but I am trying to like push it for this year so that we run the graduation. If we do that, that's going to be like a very big deal. And my other job is I also work in like the theater department, and I very much do like, background sound stuff. So I applied to work in like the production shop. So what the production shop does is like, every time there's a play, build like the sets, the designers come, oh, we need this and this and this. And we build like the sets. If maybe they need like a platform built, my boss, like Professor Tomshek, amazing guy. He was like, oh, Emmanuel, you said like, you like sound stuff. How would you like to try out just like, doing sound stuff? And I'm very grateful. He gave me like, even now, like he's given me like so much freedom to like try out like new stuff. For example, I'm very grateful that there are a few people who have like believed in me and like my abilities. And I also do like sound in the like the music building. Whenever there's like an event happening, usually we have like concert for students or like other people who come outside, and we usually like go set up the mics and make sure like everything is working, record. We also do live streaming. So like I have 3 jobs and all of them have to do with like sound, and especially with like my job with sound and lights. And like in Harper Joy, it's the theater, we call it Harper Joy Theater, has helped me so much because over the summer I was in Seattle, like the big city, and I was doing an internship at this amazing theater company called Taproot Theater. And, I never dreamed of like doing that. And last year, in 23 spring, I designed this show. It was a student run show, and I won like the design award for that, for that year. So like, at least I've been recognized for like my work. Of course, I don't do it for the award, but I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a nice way to like get recognized. And that also helped me. So usually like we have like during the school year, we have like plays that happen throughout the school year. We have like the fall semester and the spring semester. And in the fall semester, so like, they'll have a play, like a big play, and they'll have like sound designer, light designer, scenic designers, costume designers, whatever. And usually for like sound and lights, they usually get actual professional people to like come and do it. But I was like very lucky that the first play that we did this semester, they allowed me to like design sound for it. It was my first time like designing a play for the main stage, where it's not like I've designed a few like, student-led like productions. Like for example, last 2024 in May, I designed for, we have what we call one act. So the one act plays written by students, directed by students, designed by students, performed by students. And I had to design 4 plays. Other people had people to help them. For example, there are 2 light designers, 2 scenic designers, but I was the only one who did it. It was very challenging job, but it was also a very nice way of learning. Because of course, like I know how to design, like I know how to make the sound, but it's also like a very different space because, it's a very different way of doing it. There's theater conventions on how to design rather than just knowing how to design. So like that helped me with working with people, which also translated to me going to do my internship, like designing that play. It was a very great experience and opportunity for me. Like I always be grateful for that. And yeah, like I've loved being here. I've discovered so much about myself. Of course, coming where I'm coming from and knowing things about music and all these other things, things that are not, conventionally looked at. It's a very big risk that I understand, but I think it is something that I would like to do. And I'm glad, like I've talked to my mom about it. She's like, yeah, if it makes you happy, like, do it. And it does make me happy. Of course, I'm also aware that money-wise, it might not be that great, but we'll see. We'll see. That's also why I'm kind of like doing the CS stuff, just in case something to like fall back on. But for now, I'm like dead set on like doing things with like sound and music.
Nice. That's great.
So right now I live alone. I have my studio where like my music, it's just like tiny place. I wish I could show you guys, but I don't know if I can. I have a studio and I also have like DJ control. So like, recently when I was in Seattle, I met some friends and they asked me to DJ. It was nice because where I'm from, it's very small, but DJing in a big city where there's like, rooftops and everything. I had my first rooftop party. It was amazing. I remember I went to this party. It was only supposed to be like, I think like 40, 50 people, but someone else was like, oh, like, we're planning on having a party here. Do you guys mind mixing? Like, no, we don't mind. So it was 100 people showed up and, being in a big city,
Amazing.
it was crazy. It was crazy. Like I'd never DJed.
That's great stuff.
Yeah. I never DJed for that many people. Being able to like go to different places and like DJ and like do all these things. I never really just wanted to limit myself to just one thing, which is just, I just didn't want to do sound or just music. So that's why I also do like digital sound work, which is like production, mixing and mastering, engineering, and also designing for theater. But I also do tech. And that has been like something that I've really liked about my time being here. The greatest thing that I've had here, like I said, is people have given me like so much freedom and like so much trust to like try out different things and like given me without so much oversight. And I think I've been able to like at least like, do my best in a way that I've like repaid that trust and belief in a way that I can never look down on academics. I'm here because of academics, but I feel like where we come from in countries, we're very much dead set on like pushing people toward academics, but like I feel like not everyone is like meant for academics. For example, I'll give you I'm not gonna mention who it is because I don't know if he's comfortable me saying it. But I had this friend, like he wasn't very like academically inclined. But if you gave him to like fix, I think Jackson, you know him. If you give him like anything to fix, he'd be like, oh, bro, like I have this radio, it's not working. He fixes it, bro. I have this thing. Like we had this fridge at Pestalozzi. It wasn't like it died, start up, died. He would fix it, but like, it wasn't very academically like inclined. I was like, yo, but like if we're able to sort of like push people who are not really interested in academics, but there are certain ways that we can help them, maybe with like music or like engineering or other things that don't really require sort of like hands-on things. I think, but for me, I realized I am more sort of a hands-on person. Like for example, right now, I love cooking. I have a cooking page on Instagram, which is just like something I love doing, making up recipes. I would like, and for example, when I was in Armenia, like I said, there are not a lot of like, black people in Armenia. So like the barbershops are not really used to like cutting Afro hair. And during the pandemic, I was like, what if I learned how to do hair? So like, I started like, doing my own hair. And then after like we went back to school for my second year, a lot of people started coming, oh, we heard you do hair. And, just me from doing my own hair, I started like doing different types of hair, like white people hair, black people hair, like, Asian people hair, all different kinds of hair. And then I was like, oh, wait, we were like lockdown, weren't allowed to like leave our, the campus and talked to the school. The school was like, amazing enough to like help me open up a barbershop. I started like a barbershop on campus. I was in charge of that barbershop. And, I used to do a lot of people's hair. Like during our graduation, I really didn't sleep because I think about 6 or 7 people's hair. I'm not complaining. It was like a very nice thing. Like I said, I like do a lot of cooking. You can check out my Instagram cooking page at the Cooking Man if you can find it. I also have a barbershop that I do just for fun on the weekends. If like maybe some of my friends, because first of all, haircuts cost like, $40 here. And most of the haircuts are terrible. I'm like, I can do it for you. So like, of course, I'm not saying I'm like 100% certain of what I want to do with my life. but I think at least now I have a certain idea of what I want to do, and that is doing sound music. And maybe you never know, I might open up my own restaurant. You guys can come and try out my recipes. Hopefully, hopefully that'd be good enough. But yeah.
Yeah, well, I wanted to like understand how the conversation went between you and your family when you told them that you wanna focus on music. Because you, like you said, most of them when they think about academics, they are always thinking about the medicines, the lawyers,
Yeah.
and those other stuff. So, like, how did that conversation go about when you told them you are focusing on music?
Mhm. Like the thing is, like I have a big family, but the only people who are like really in my life are like my mom, my grandma, and my aunt, which I refer to as mom. So when I say mom, can either be my mom or like my aunt. But like I grew up with my aunt, so this is kind of like a personal thing. But I grew up in a very like I love my aunt, and I will never blame her for anything. But we weren't very good in terms of our relationship. It's a very typical like African household where if they give you food, shelter, clothing, whatever, that is it. Like, but for me personally, I like to express myself in different ways. For example, I think a lot of people can relate to this, but like African parents, they'll tell you, you should do this and this and this and this. Your friends are doing this. I remember my aunt would be like, oh, your friends look after their lawn. We had like a small lawn in our yard. But I'm like, you're expecting me to do that? I'm willing to do it, but you haven't really shown me how to do it. So I don't know what you have expectations of me, but I don't really know how to do it. And me and my aunt, we never like saw eye to eye. I don't have a relationship with my dad. We're cool, but I don't really have a relationship with him. So I had a conversation with my dad. I told him, I was like, because the first time I saw him was 2 weeks before I left for Armenia. I was 19. For 19 years of my life, I didn't know who my dad was. Of course, I knew him. I would talk to him on the phone. I was like, yeah, respectfully, you're my dad, but this is be honest here. You were never in my life. I tried my best to be sure to you, but that should not have been the case. I should not have been there for you. You should have been there for me. So I told him like, okay, here's how it is, right? People say you reap what you sow. So now I'm gonna help you reap what you did sow, which is nothing. We don't have a relationship. We literally don't have a relationship, and that's on you. I believe in karma, but now karma is gonna we're supposed to have a relationship, and as a person who's supposed to be part of this relationship, I'm just going to come out and let you know that you and I don't have a relationship, and that's on you. I told him I don't hate you, but you also have to understand that I also don't love you. And that's new, right? Because I didn't have anything. And I told him, if maybe, for example, you need anything, I will try my best, but just know I'm not obligated to be there for you. And you're going to have to live with that fact. I had the same conversation with my aunt, but my aunt is different. She's always been there for me. Emotionally, no, but she's always been there for me. And understand African parents and everything. I'll never blame my aunt or any African parent. But I was like, okay, this is a conversation that I'm willing to have with her. Hopefully she'll understand. So that I'm like, listen, we're both adults. Of course, you are more adult than I am. I am mostly trying to think about my life now. And I really want you to be a big part of my life. I love you. It's not like I have a different way of showing you love. I also have a different way of showing how I love people. And I told her, like, for example, I never liked the fact that when I did something, you never really encouraged me and you felt the need to belittle me in certain ways. And I know you meant well, but that's not how it's supposed to be. And she was like, yeah, if I told you that you did well, maybe you wouldn't have worked out. I'm like, no. I get what you're trying to do, but that's not what it did, though. Because I remember I was very bad in mathematics. I was terrible. I would get 90s, 80s, other subjects. Then I'll get like a 50 or like 14 math. And then when I was in the 11th grade, I remember talking to my math teacher. As unbelievable as it sounds, it was like grade 11, term 2. And I remember telling him, I was like, sir, he was also my physics teacher, Mr. Mulenga. And I told him, sir, for the midterms, if I don't get a 90% or above, I'm never passing math. And he told me, no, I think you can do it because you're like one of my best students in physics. I just don't get how you like do well in math. And I went from, I think it was like a 47 or 49, from like a 49 the previous term. And then I got 93% on my midterm. Showed it to my aunt. She was like, oh, like this is good, but where's the other 7%? And I gave her that as an example. Like, no, if I encouraged you, maybe you wouldn't have worked out. So I had that conversation with my aunt. Thankfully, she was also like, able to listen. She's like, oh, okay, I understand. Like, but like the other things outside of music are like, I love acting. I love movies. Yes, I'm a son, but I'm also my own person. Like, you have to understand the things that I like outside of things that you might know me of. And you have to be okay with that. Like, yes, and music is a very big part of my life. That's how I express myself. I showed her some of my music and she's very receptive. Right now I'm working on an EP. I'm like, done. There's like 6 songs. I sent her some of my new songs. She's like, oh, they sound good. You should release them. And like maybe to my other friends out there, like just like have this conversation with your parents. Of course, don't be abrasive. Like, there are also people like always give like everyone leeway or like at least grace. Like, I feel like African parents have very much like work to do in terms of like emotional relationships with our kids. And of course, there's like so many generational things. It's like something that we need to like break down in us as parents. So I think like me having that conversation with like my aunt, my mom, and everyone, like telling them you have to accept me as a person, like holistically, this is who I am. I'm someone who's able to get A's and everything, but I'm also someone who outside of that, I have like hobbies and which is music, and which is my biggest thing. Like I love DJing, I love like making music. And if you're gonna like, accept me, you also have to accept that part of me. Of course, I'm not like going to. Yeah, they took it well. They took it well. They're like very supportive of my music. To be honest, cannot complain.
True. Just a couple of things. First of all, when you talked about karma, like, is it like they say that saying that what goes around comes back around type thing, or am I misinterpreting it? Then I'll follow up
No,
with the more important thing.
I think you're talking about how I had the talk with my dad, right?
No, just asking in general the concept of karma, like for
No,
those who
I,
don't know
I,
what karma is.
oh yeah, karma is what goes around, comes back around. That's what you give, and karma is very real.
I see.
So
Yeah, and then the important part was on the issue of education. Our perception of education, especially in Africa, because your story. Like, I'll just give you like a short backstory. Like, when you're talking about, oh, I'm a DJ, and then you started talking about like, oh, that decision to choose music over some other so-called safe careers or other like options which traditionally or Africans would be like, yeah, become a doctor, lawyer, whatever, engineer, etc. I remember back then in high school, was it high school, primary school? I'm not forgetting. I think it's high school. Then someone we're making jokes that you get like 15 points. I believe like 6 points in Zambia, something like you have all the A's or
the
something like
best.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So we're actually laughing at bruh, you get a scholarship to go to Europe or whatever, and then to study medicine. Then your parents hear that you're now becoming a DJ. We're actually laughing at that. So to a certain extent, it speaks to our lack of maturity and misunderstanding of what education is supposed to be, or these educational systems, or these systems, because these systems are supposed to equip us with the skills that are necessary for our livelihoods, whether it's uplifting, like whether it's industry wise or whether it is whatever it is, your skill that you're doing, and then you're contributing towards whatever it is that you're doing in whichever area, whether it's music, whether it's art, whether it's actually other industries like engineering, producing stuff, or it's marketing, salesperson, etc., or it's people like public speakers, etc. Like the objective is not just you going to class and write exams and get A's. Like at the end of the day, we need actual skills for you to do something in the world. So yeah, like I just wanted to like give a comment on that, because I actually remember I was one of those people like I actually laughing that bro, you go to Europe to be a doctor and then hear that you're becoming a DJ. Like what's going on?
I think
So yeah.
I don't think I'm against like the way we think about like education. I think like academics like are very, very important. I think like for me, I've always like tried to think about this like the only thing I've asked is like, in as much as we're thinking about like academics, I also want like opportunities, at least for like vocational sort of like vocational opportunities, right? All I'm asking is for an opportunity for me to like try to like explore things outside of academics.
There you go. I was coming at is, of course, you mentioned the issue of like the expectations, the general expectations, right? But even beyond the expectations, which again, like you say that some of these things, like you're an adult, at the end of the day, it's your life. You're supposed to make the decisions that you have to do with your life. But the other thing that I was bringing out is the issue of us like realizing that education is not a matter of you just going to pass and get A's. At the end of the day, we need you to do something. Like even if you are to pursue like academia type stuff, that is like getting a PhD, you're actually gonna do a PhD, get a research on solving something, or I don't know, some new researching new things, new green energy or something. I'm just giving random examples, or new some new types of music, like how you guys are doing like right now. You guys are in your music class that using programming for music, which is something cool. So I was like, whatever it is, like even in the context of academia, that you wanna do PhDs and you really like studying and stuff, that at the end of the day, still in your process of or in your efforts of being academic or being considered an academic, you are supposed to contribute towards something, whether it's research, whether it's producing something, whether you're coming up with a new theory, whatever it is. It's not a matter of just having A's for the sake of having A's or having good grades for having sake of having good grades. That's why I was coming at that thing, as well as also the fact that it's also again the person's choice, that you can't just think for other people.
Yeah, no, I didn't agree. I definitely agree.
But yeah, that's where I was just coming at.
Okay.
Anytime soon, but you guys can continue though.
I'm working on an EP. I have like 6 songs, and I think also like I've changed in terms of like how I like view my music, especially like I usually like go through phases with like different types of music that I'm doing. So like if you see my music, most of it is like it's kind of different. I've made like drill music, I've made like Afrobeats, I've tried to like make some EDM, I've made like some pop, some kind of lo-fi stuff. Right now I'm mostly into like Afrobeats ish. And thank you so much for you guys having me. I'd like to come more on this podcast. It's so nice. As long as you guys don't go on the red pill content, because I don't do that.
What's red pill?
No, it's those guys who think like talking trash about women and other people is good thing. This is nice. I don't and I'll be looking forward to when the podcast, like the episode drops. Yes.
Yeah, we appreciate you being here. We're gonna ask you for another episode, real soon,
But no,
bro.
definitely,
Like,
I'm down.
there's
I'm
so
down. I'm
much,
down.
there's so much we can talk about, but like,
I know there's so much we can talk about.
like like there's so much of past lives that I want people to like just hear in front of, because they're gonna be a bit.
Yeah, no. I definitely think that like there's so much more we can talk about. Yeah, like I'm excited, bro. Like just let me know.
No pressure, bro. We really appreciate it, man. Like I think if something good, then you can stick around for a few minutes. Yeah.
All right.
Ladies
Sounds
and
good. Sounds
gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us in this episode. You're gonna see Emmanuel again next time. But for now, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you guys, and make sure you subscribe, like, and share this content. And we're gonna have so much more content coming on. So yeah, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. And peace out.
Subscribe to the channel. Start to subscribe and share.
Yeah, peace out, guys. Thank you so much.